I always feel like it takes a certain sort of person to work with kids. I mean, not everybody can, and because with children, you want to be nurturing as well. You do seem to work with kids a lot, and I mean, as a friend, I know you enjoy working with children, even older children like ITV kids,
Oh,
all that. And what is it about what is it about working with children that draws you?
well, I think it's a personality thing. I've always wanted to be a teacher,
Hmm.
and I always see all my work now as being as feeding my, you know, being a teacher in a few years time.
Mhm.
I just haven't had I I don't feel it's the right time for me now to go into full time teaching.
Right.
But hopefully one day. So I'm very thankful when opportunities come along that allow me to interact a lot with children and teenagers.
You've been
Um,
influenced by Whitney Houston, right? You believe the children are the
to
future,
teach
right?
them
Is
well,
that-
let them lead the way. No. But it comes from my own experience. I I am not half as talented or as gifted as
So
a lot of
humble.
the no seriously, as a lot of people I work with, or a lot of the children I work with, in fact.
Right.
But I had three really wonderful
Teachers.
mentors and teachers who guided me and they gave me a lot of opportunities to find myself through music. I'm always so thankful to them. One of them is she was my first music teacher ever. Her name is Miss Sylvia Koo,
Okay.
and she taught me the violin. Even before I was big enough to pick up the violin, she just made me play tambourine and triangle and just to get the rhythm going. And it is from her that I appreciate this really strong sense of discipline and being very meticulous in your work. And then Dwayne and I went to the same music school in the neighborhood together.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And one of the teachers I met there was Miss Belinda Fu,
Right.
who now teaches at LaSalle. And so she was just so fun, and
Mm-hmm.
when she made music, it was a joy to watch. And she was a great teacher. She taught me the theory and the improvisation. And she made music very accessible. You didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I cannot understand this, I cannot get this. I think she's really a gifted teacher. And then many years later, she became a music director that I worked for. And then the third one is Mr. Iskandar Ismail, late Mr. Iskandar Ismail, who I think more than anyone gave me this, the foundation, laid the foundation for me. I met him when I did Chang and Ing in 1998, and
Wow.
I don't know.
That's when you were
10?
10.
Yeah, and
That was when I met you around the same
yes,
time, right?
yes. And
Wow.
I don't know why, but he just got me to play for him every day and gave me lessons in the pit every day.
Wow.
And then when I was a teenager, going through a very bad phase,
Pimples.
I wish it were as simple as pimples, but it was a time when really I had no. He gave me a reason to live. He said, "Go and learn how to use this. Help me out," and he gave me a lifeline through music.
Right.
And so I'm very grateful to him. All three of them.
What has your experience been with arts education in the States, like versus Singapore? Do you feel that there's more to grow here, or students
Absolutely.
always start off the same? They're at the
Yes.
basic level, but in terms of the system, right?
Yeah. Can I talk about Singapore for a moment?
Yep.
Having been in the system and teaching in National University of Singapore as well as LaSalle as well as a little bit in SOTA,
SOTA?
I want to say that arts education is vital at this crux where we're really starting to become more creative as Singaporeans, and I think that's really important. But what's hindering it right now is that I personally feel we don't have enough local influence in arts education, and that is vital, because I think that right now there's too much foreign influence, and I know that's ironic just in the sense that we keep talking about American shows or foreign shows, but in truth, when it comes to arts education, I've been teaching a lot in musical theater. In the musical theater departments, we really do need more influence from local stuff. And I don't just.
What way do you mean?
I mean like local educators who are passionate about what they do. Right. Also,
what's the difference though?
Teaching the history of local
right.
Local theater, teaching pride in local theaters, having all these practitioners and theater companies coming in and taking master classes to kind of get people really clued in on what the industry is like, and having pride in that. On top of that is also, for example, learning the Singapore speak. You can't just have all these, for example, all these LaSalle graduates. I'm going to talk about this frankly. You can't have all these local LaSalle graduates go out and all speak with an American accent or with an Australian accent or with a British accent. We also need to learn how to speak local. You really have to. You know what I'm trying to say is that a lot of the time there's no pride in that, and I think
right.
it is time. I mean, 1819 was when we had Sir Stamford Raffles, right? It's time we release the shackles of our post-colonial like bondage has to really be released so that we can really embrace the fact that we have amazing local performers, amazing local educators, and a wonderfully rich and textured, layered history that needs to be embraced so that our young know what it's all about and embrace it with pride and not just say, oh my gosh, I love musical theater, Cats, Les Mis, Phantom of the Opera. Yeah, but what about our Beauty World? What
right.
about our Fried Rice Paradise, our Forbidden City? There's so much great work out there, and people need to know it, not just our theater industry. If not, we're just preaching to the choir, and
right.
I think that's important.
But do you feel there are enough educators out there who are, I mean, there's this whole perception like, oh yeah, foreign talent's always more qualified because they're more experienced, they've learned from the masters, and here it's like, who are we? Do you feel that there are enough people here who can take on that responsibility to educate properly?
There are increasingly more people. I don't want to say we're there yet, but we're increasingly more locals are really stepping up. And I want to debunk that myth that foreign people that you hire and pay a lot more are better. They are not. They are not actually, because if you think about it, a lot of the people that do hire, and I'm not going to mention names because it's not really, I'm not thinking of anyone in particular. It's just there are people that come to Singapore because they are worshipped here, but it's also because they failed in the country that they're from. Right. Now, that is disturbing in itself, that you are actually being educated by a failed practitioner or failed educator, when in truth, you have people that are successful outside, locals that are successful outside, who don't feel welcome coming back because they're not given the opportunities when they really should be, because they're celebrated outside, and they should come back and have the opportunities to say, I have all this wealth of information and I am passionate to be able to share it with these young minds, and I will be able to inspire. Because when you go outside and you learn and you are educated, you come back wanting to impart it to other people,
right.
not just saying, oh my gosh, it's a job and you know what, they worship me, so why don't I just do
right.
it? I think that's important.
Yeah, good points. And do you feel that the government is helping in terms of having local educators step up? Because right now, like for example, the rule is that you have to have a degree now, and so someone, say for example, who has a lot of experience would probably be cut out from that equation.
That's not necessarily the case. For example, that's not necessarily the case, particularly in the performing arts, because in the performing arts there's a lot of emphasis on whether you have the skill set to be able to do it. It's not always about the paper degree. Of course, if you're teaching something like I did, which was thesis supervision and writing and research, you actually have to have paper qualification for that.
Right.
But
so it's not. So that's a rumor I heard. It's not actually true that you have to.
No, but I mean, you have to minimally have a bachelor's degree in something, but it doesn't need to go beyond that.
Right.
But what's disturbing is that I don't think the government realizes that they still have too much pride in foreign talent when they need to actually strongly vet their foreign talent as well. There are brilliant foreigners that come in and work. No doubt about it at all. But there are also really, really crappy educators out there that are foreigners, that just go, oh my gosh, it's a job. I'm like, if you want to be an educator, you have best love your job. If not, you're going to ruin the lives of the future talents
True,
in
exactly.
Singapore.
It's such a responsibility, especially at that young age. I mean, it has to start really from school, from scratch. I
Yes.
mean, your drama educators all have to
Yeah.
know how to transition them
Yeah.
properly.
And a lot of the heads of the schools are either foreigners, or if they're locals, they are heads of the schools who are locals who say, oh, it's better to hire foreign talent. So they'll hire foreign talent.
Right.
When are we going to break this vicious cycle, Singapore? We can
Right.
only do this if we actually work together and go, oh my gosh, we actually need to say, you're a Singaporean, can you do this? Let's discover, or let's actually nurture you so
Right.
you're able to do this, so we can have pride in saying, Singaporeans, we have educators that can do this, and they brought our local people into this. Eventually, we
Right.
can even say these local educators brought these foreigners who decided to study in local schools
Yeah.
to great heights,
Which is
in
happening,
regionally and
starting
beyond.
to happen.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
that
nice.
I think is the goal, and that is where Singapore needs to go when it comes to arts education.
Right. And one last thing. I mean, we have about 7 more minutes. See how time flies.
It does. I was worried at first, but it does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody worries. So my other question is: so how would you like who are vetting these teachers, and how can these people who are vetting? Because I feel like they probably don't know how to vet. So what's happening there?
I think it's a vicious cycle, because when you address who the head is to begin with, normally the head is hired because they came from Australia, or they came from Europe, or whatever, you know.
Right.
But it doesn't go beyond what exactly did they do and over there, and were they really prominent, and or even if they were prominent, are they jaded now, and that's why they want a different pace, you know,
Right.
or do they care enough to know what the Singaporean needs in education, and not just say, I'm going to imprint a prototype of the European standard onto Singapore. That's not what we need.
We can't work like that.
It needs to be catered to Singapore, and I'm sorry, but if students complain and say, why is it that we're learning local stuff? If you wanted to learn stuff about England, why don't you get your degree in England?
Exactly. Theater
It's
is
Singapore.
about community. It's about the voice of the community.
Yes.
Everything is about, like, you know, even if you're on YouTube, the channels that do well communicate with their... It starts with the locals first, so it's always that.
It does.
So,
So
yeah.
it's a vicious cycle from top down. That's what you were asking. So and then when you have a someone who's from abroad in charge, they're going to start hiring more people from abroad because they don't
Yeah.
trust that the locals can do it.
Yeah.
Or if you have a local from abroad, or if you have a local in command, but they still haven't broken the mindset that, oh, we can hire locals. They kind of go, oh, let's just first let's see what foreign talent we can kind of bring in, and that needs to break at some
Yeah,
point.
I think a good balance helps, because then you can collaborate and see what, you know, from both ends. You get a good mix of it if a good, you know, collaboration comes out of that.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing foreign talent in general. I'm just saying that there have been some monumental bad decisions made by in arts education
Yeah.
in Singapore that need to really be rectified, and there have been some people that have been sorely overlooked because they just so happen to be born in Singapore, and I don't think that's fair to a community. Because if you think
Yeah.
about it, if Europe loves their own people, and America loves their own people, and Australia loves their own people, why can't Singapore love their own people? Come on, you gotta
Yeah.
love your own people. If
Yeah.
not, where do we go? And the government wonders why people leave Singapore in droves. Come on, think about that.
Yeah. Cool. Really good stuff there. We should have put this at the front, but anyway.
Yay! Rip that into a small segment.
I
That's what
will.
say.
It's very important.